Mike Venturini of Pixar said something that always sticks in my head is animation is change. You know, it's a change from this to this, or you know, animation is seems like it's a sequence of C shapes changing all the time. It's you know it's this going to this, or it's an S shape becoming a C shape. Um, that's a lot of when you get into the body. In this pose, it's kind of be nice to have a little bit more curvature. You're not far off. I think you might work the body a little bit to get this to have the upper body match the curve of this leg. You know. I think what's perplexing me here is the angle of the body, the torso. I think again we're getting into more of a profile view, and I think it would probably be more helpful to have a get into that 3/4 a little bit more. Let's see if I can't draw it. See how the elbow is out here where we can kind of see it? I don't know if you can rig that up into the pose. Um, and then this arm is, if you turned him, if you turned his whole body, right, that way, so we can get him into a little bit more 3/4, there's going to be more negative space in between this arm and this head, so you get a better silhouette, and you'll be able to get this elbow out here, so there's a better silhouette. In that world, he's walking kind of backwards into that, you know, up there. But it's almost, it would almost, staging wise, I think it would be more helpful if he walked forward. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So if he's acting it out and he loses the balloon, if he walked toward the camera to get it, we would see more of him. And I think what's happening now is in 3D space, he might be like, he loses the balloon and he kind of goes back here. And he's like, oh no, it's up there. Um, that's tough things about animation. It's just that's getting that staging right. And I think that maybe that's um, maybe that maybe it would help to have it him come forward into the balloon. Does that make sense? 195 body. Okay, this pose is not terribly appealing, and the weight isn't correct. Again, look for a way to get curves into the body. I definitely feel what the character is feeling here. You did a really good job of portraying the emotion. It's just a matter of tweaking it to get the pose appealing and the weight right. Oh wait, what else is going on here? There again. We seem to be having a bit of a twist. Um, right now, it looks like the legs are facing this way, but the body is kind of facing this way. So watch out for that. We kind of want to get more of that 3/4 shot.
Right? More of a 3/4 view going on here. This leg would kind of be over here, right? And um, um, hmm. Yeah, I think
I think just what's coming through here is just it's just the staging. I think there are ways to make the poses more appealing, um, but it would involve some restaging, um, just to kind of angle the character in a more of a 3/4 fashion. Um, and watching, I think you're trying to combat that right now by these twists. There's some twists in the body occasionally, you know, especially like here. What this looks like to me is that the everything from the waist down is almost in profile, and you're kind of twisting the upper body to force it into 3/4, when it's almost like um, the whole body kind of needs to be in 3/4. Let me recap. I think you have a great shot here. And I think that you have great ideas and your acting ideas are great. And that's what this is about, acting ideas. You're golden, okay? Um, like I said, if you want to cut some frames out, it would make sense to cut it out of the part where he's like, "Oh, I dropped my balloon. Oh no!" Like cut somewhere in there because, like I said, if I was tra-la-laing and I dropped my balloon, I would kind of like immediately kind of start grasping for it. So that would make more sense to me. That way, it'll save you some frames. And then just kind of look at it in perspective view. Um, in Maya, open up perspective view. Open up two windows. So you have two window panes, right? And have the camera view in one and have the perspective view in the other. You may already do this. And then just look at how he steps. Like almost like you ever see those old ways to teach you to dance where dance instructors have those cutouts of feet and they put them on the ground, and in order to learn to dance you like put your feet where those feet are. Look at how your character is moving through the scene in perspective and look at how that translates into the camera view, um, and see how he's moving. And something else some Pixar animators told me is make sure that it makes sense in 3D space. Make sure that the movements make sense in 3D space. And then it won't magically make sense in camera space or to the camera. Sometimes you have to cheat stuff for the camera, but you'll get really close if things work correctly in 3D space. So look at how he's moving in. Look at how his body is twisting. We don't like to twist. Humans don't like to be in a state of tension. We like to be as relaxed as possible at all times. And any sort of twisting is tension. So try to avoid twisting um, where you can. If I could make one overall note about the shot, which is what I should do, which is kind of what I'm working to, is that watch your poses. There's some twists in there. There's some awkward ankle positions. Try to keep that a flow. Do like what I was doing where you sketch.
Your pose. And I'm not sure what your thumbnails look like or anything. What would this pose look like? Where's the curve? You know? Um, always think of the curve. What is it, an S shape? Is it a C shape? And
Try to get the appealing pose in. I'm not the best at this myself, so I'm probably not very good at explaining it. I have a really hard time, or I remember having a really hard time moving the character around. And it's kind of like a matter of, okay, here's the pose that I want him to start in, and here's the pose that I kind of want him to end in. And then you kind of got to figure out, well, if he's going to be here, then I'm going to have to move this pose back because he's going to walk this way across the scene, you know? Um, it's kind of like where I did this animation camp thing where we had to start by doing 4 key poses, and um, the 4 poses had to basically show the entire scene in 4 poses. And it's kind of, that really forces you to think about, okay, he's going to start here and he's going to end over here. So you have to draw a little map about where he's going to go and then keep him appealing. That's the hard part, is keep him appealing the entire way through. And I think that's what I'm seeing here, is that you may want to think a little bit more about, okay, well, if he's going to end up here, I got to kind of 3/4 this pose so that he's more to camera and that pose is more appealing. If I'm going to do that, then he's going to have to come from over here. So I'm going to have to move this pose forward and this pose back. You may want to ask your mentor in Q&A, or send her a note about if she has any staging tips for staging your character in space or moving your character in space and keeping the poses appealing. Because that's the main thing that I see here, is that to keep the poses appealing and accurately move him through space, because you're doing a good job moving him through space, and but it's just keeping the poses appealing while he's doing that. So that's kind of why I think she even made a note about three-quartering something a little bit more. I don't know if it was the body or the head. If you don't feel like taking anything that I've said, or if you feel like taking it and flushing it down the toilet, that's perfectly okay. In fact, I probably would if I were you, because I don't know if I made any sense. And I'm not insulting your shot at all. I'm just trying to um, think about how I can help you. I'm talking while I'm thinking about how I can help you make your poses more appealing. But your idea is great. The ending is great. The timing looks good. I'm just trying to think about how we can get those poses to be a little bit more flowing and appealing. So, consider that. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you want me to further explain something, please let me know. If you want to swear at me, please go for it. Again, I'm not saying this is bad in any way. I'm just saying I'm just looking at it critically. How can we get your poses to be more appealing than they are? And that is to say, it's not like they're completely unappealing. I'm just saying that there's some twists and stuff that kind of make a little tension for the viewer. So I'm going to stop talking now. Again, if you have any questions or anything, let me know. Please consider that. You don't have to take it to mean anything at all. In fact, I could be entirely off base. But just maybe consider thinking about how the curves are in your body, and watch your twists in the body, and don't forget, or don't put the little head twist. I'm telling you not to twist, and now I'm telling you to twist. Remember what I said about the head tilts. Head tilts go a long way. That's kind of where you can use your twists. But in the body, make sure that your root and your upper body aren't too far askew. You know what I'm saying? Like, sort of kind of treat that area as one. It can kind of twist and bend, but you don't want to go too extreme on any of those. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think your mentor had a note about the bend of the body, how your root was kind of up and down, and you were doing a lot of bend in the back. Whereas, kind of to do a bend, you might want to get more bend in the root, and then kind of just do a gentle curve on the back. So maybe that's what I'm getting at. Sort of treat the trunk of the body as not something you want to do too much extreme bending with. They kind of all has to operate as one. And it's not going to extremely twist or bend, really. You kind of have to do gradual stuff on all of them to get a nice curve. Okay, that's probably me talking for about 35 minutes to get to distill down to one sentence of what I want to say. Again, let me know if you think this is interesting, or if you want me to shut up earlier. But I think you're doing a great job. I really do. Honestly, I do. And I think this shot looks great. And I think that you should be very proud of the fact that you do seem, to me, you understand blocking very well, and you're going to be able to go farther and really focus on your in progress and your polishing, because you understand that so early in the game, or you're in class 4, but that's still kind of early because I didn't understand I still don't understand really. But so you're doing fantastic. I think just as you move forward with class 4, pay attention to your poses, and don't forget that it's still about the poses. It's still about class 1, where you're just doing those emotions or whatever in a pose. It's still that. and it's about finding a line of action, and it's how do I get from this line of action to that line of action. Keep that in mind, and you're gonna get really stellar. So keep at it, man. You're doing great.